Happy Pride Month, everybody. This is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about Tim Drake's Robin from Titans Season 4 didn't suck because the character is gay. He sucked because of the simple fact the creators had nothing for him. So, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, ever since I read a comment on Twitter, but I decided to wait for Pride Month so I can put it in my banner and stuff like that. So, Titans Season 4, which I have talked about, is not a very good season in my opinion. It felt like a very rushed season, and then when they found out they was getting canceled, they had to change a lot of stuff around, especially that at the ending. However, one thing that stayed consistent was Tim Drake's lack of character development this season. See, Tim Drake started off in Season 3 as being just a regular kid in Gotham City. He's like a teenager and he's obsessed with Batman and being a vigilante, even to the point of making his own makeshift Batman-like cave with computers and stuff like that, similar to how he is in the comics. He also discovered that Dick Grayson was Robin / Nightwing because of a maneuver he did when he saw like old videos of like Dick doing stuff with the flying Graysons, and then he used that same maneuver when he was like Robin and stuff, similar to how he was in the comics. He's very smart, but he is the weakest fighter when it comes to that of the Robins, how he is in the comics. And he's the same way as he is in the television show. However, in Season 3, he was so enthusiastic and so wanting to be a vigilante that he literally got himself killed, resurrected, hung out with a bunch of heroes, and helped save the day. At the end, he went with the Titans because Dick Grayson said he would train him to be Robin, which is kind of hypocritical because he always blamed Bruce for training him at a young age as Robin, not having a normal childhood, but hey, you know, comic books, so, you know, have what may. So, because of this, we knew at some point in time in Season 4, he would become Robin, but we didn't know exactly when. And the question is, how would he develop as like Robin? He doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't know how to be a ninja, none of that stuff. So we assume, you know, hey, Dick was gonna train him. Well, Season 4 came around, and as they're doing their road trip, at some point in time, they went back to Metropolis. They had been to Metropolis off screen between Season 3 and Season 4. A lot of stuff happened, but not really. And so in Season 4, Tim Drake's role was relegated to being an untrained vigilante, but yet he still ran out in the field with a bow staff and no costume or mask to hide his identity, and well, normally get his butt kicked in a fight as he's going up against ninjas and people with superpowers. Yeah. An untrained vigilante doing all that. But then they decided, well, since we don't have nothing for Tim Drake this season because the cast is pretty big, hey, let's just stick him in a relationship and let that be everything that happens to him in Season 4. And that's basically what they did. But they didn't just put him in any ordinary relationship. Oh no. See, in the comics, Tim Drake used to be straight. Then at some point in time, because diversity was all on the rage, they decided to make him either gay or bisexual. And they decided to give him a boyfriend by the name of Bernard. So in Season 4, they decided, okay, let's just, since we're not gonna bring in Stephanie Brown, his original girlfriend from the comics, even though they had a cameo of her in a picture in Season 3, Episode 1, they decided, hey, you know, since we don't have no LGBT characters on the show, let's just bring in Bernard and make him gay. Now, we never knew his sexuality in Season 3. So it's totally fine that they wanted to make him gay in Season 4. Some people had exception to that. Now, remember when I said I wanted to make this video ever since I read a comment on Twitter? Well, Okay, so after the hiatus of the first 6 episodes, like a couple of months went into the new year, and then they brought out the rest of the last 6 episodes. And then towards the end of the entirety of the series, with only 2 episodes left, they finally made him Robin. It was very rushed, and once again, he had no training. Why? Because I say that because even Dick has said, you know, I should have been training you better, and and I don't have time. He literally had no training whatsoever, but yet they kept putting him in the field with the bow staff and everything. And no costume for protection and no mask to save his identity. So we only see him train once with Dick, but that's about it. And so towards the end, he gets his costume, and all of a sudden he knows how to fight like a typical Robin. And it's like, how? You had no training. Then they send him off to meet Jason Todd. Jason Todd gives him a couple of pointers. And then, yet all of a sudden, he's like the biggest, baddest Robin there is, fighting Brother Blood in the finale. Brother Blood has superpowers. How are 2 vigilantes, Nightwing and Robin, able to defeat him with just a bow staff and like police stick looking thing, streaming sticks? Nobody knows because it was rushed. But after all that, I went to Twitter and I read a comment. And the comment says he can't be a hero because he's black and gay. I'm just thinking, wow, that is so bigoted. Like, he's gay in the comics, he's gay on the show, what's the big deal? And there are other gay superheroes and stuff. But of course, we are living in times where certain people of certain races have went crazy in the head again. And all of a sudden, they don't want diversity. They want everything to be about as straight and white as it can be. And, you know, and yes, they did race bend Tim Drake because he's white in the comics and they made him black. Well, half black, and I think his mom was Asian, but I think the actor is black and something else. So, yeah. And then, so of course, now people are trying to say, well, he can't be a hero because he's gay. And that is about the dumbest thing I have ever heard. And the creators didn't do him no favors by giving him a lackluster storyline. They literally just put him in a romance, but not just any romance. The awkward, shy, I think I like you type romance, which is something that has been plaguing a lot of characters, both straight and gay, for the longest time. And it's a cliche in Hollywood that I'm tired of seeing, especially with the LGBT. And, you know, now when it comes to both these characters, Bernard is played by James Scully. Now, he's gay, but Tim is played by Jay LaCurgo, I think his name is. And nobody knows what he is. He has not come out and said if he's straight, gay, bi, or whatever. But he tends to play a lot of LGBT characters on screen. But nobody knows what he is. And so, like, I honestly believe, like, the decision to put him just in the storyline of, like, a romantic storyline, and a romantic storyline only, came from the creators. And it probably sounded a little something like this. Now, the creators of Titans is Akiva Goldsman, Greg Bertolanti, and Jeff Johns himself. Now, Jeff Johns, I don't like at all, and I mean at all. And as for Greg has really floundered in the television department lately. He's created a lot of shows. He's produced a lot of shows. He used to be hands-on a lot of shows. Now he just creates them and put them in the hands of other people, and they kind of sour his work. The Arrowverse is a prime example of that. He is the father of the Arrowverse, and he was very hands-on in the creation of the Arrowverse and the many seasons of like Arrow and stuff like that. However, he stepped away to create other stuff. He's helped create Kung Fu, Riverdale. What is it? I think the new Pretty Little Liars reboot. even the flight attendant, and many other shows. So he is pushed extremely thin to where he can't actually be there and say, hey, I want this to happen and that to happen and this to happen and stuff like that. Then you have Jeff. And Jeff, from what Ray Fisher says, is a very toxic person. And a lot of his stuff really doesn't have LGBT stuff in it. Stargirl didn't, and Titans barely had it. And you know, it's kind of like this. And I bet it was something like, you know, oh, hey Greg, how you doing and everything. He's like, oh, hey Jeff, who's very toxic over at the WB and should have lost his job, but somehow kept his job, even though Ray Fisher said you was toxic and they did an investigation and found you guilty, but decided to let you keep your job. And while everybody else lost their job who worked on the DCEU, but somehow you managed to weasel your way in and keep your job and create shows like Stargirl and help me create this show. Thanks, Greg. You know, even though you are openly gay and everything, and you did a good job when it came to the Arrowverse and creating LGBT characters, you pushed yourself kind of thin. And then when it came to LGBT characters of the show Titans, a show you helped create along with me, you kind of didn't have no good representation of the LGBT. In fact, they got nerfed every time. There's only been 3 in the entirety of 4 seasons, and every time there is one, they're barely on screen and barely have any character development, or they're dead on arrival of the show because they was a pawn in 2 other people's scheme. Seriously, I'm not even joking. The first LGBT character we ever had in Titans was that of Jericho. He was dead before the show even started. Why? Because like Deathstroke and Dick, who was Robin at the time, but the other Titans, Dick used him to get closer to his father, Slade Wilson, Deathstroke. And as a result, he died. And so then he came back as kind of like a ghost that could possess people. And you will see him every once in a while inside, like, you know, the kind of like shadowy dimension type thing. But, you know, he was never really truly there. Then when he took hold of his sister's body, they decided to leave the show at the end of season 2. We didn't get to see him in no relationships. We didn't get to see him with any of his struggles. Nothing like that. And then so a season and a half, 2 seasons later, we get Tim, who turns out to be gay and everything. And so, like I said before, the one thing I get so irritated in seeing is when they do have a gay character on screen, they always put them in that awkward relationship stage of them meeting somebody, keeping their head down, being all like, oh, nice shoes. Oh, well, gee, thanks. You have nice shoes too. They're falling in love over shoes. Like that's the way they have to tell each other they like each other, is to bond over their shoes. Like that's just like an example and everything. And then it's like, you know, so how's the day? Oh, you know, well, it's pretty nice and sunny. Yeah, I think it's nice and sunny too. Really? That's how you have to tell you like you like somebody by saying how like nice the weather is? And that's how normally they're written in movies and like television shows when it comes to like DC properties and a lot of new modern stuff. And so these two had some type of relationship off screen during season 3 and season 4. But we don't know to the exact point. But it couldn't have been that exclusive because none of the Titans know they're in a relationship or that they even like each other. In fact, they're only in the I like you stage and I find you attractive stage. So then in season 4, we get to see them talk a little bit more, but it's just they're talking to each other and they're talking about like other stuff. It isn't until the second half of the season we actually see those two like get together and stuff, and they never really get to go on no real official date because they're too busy trying to like save the world and everything. And so of course, because they never had a true official date, they just hooked them up in the hotel only because they're alone and like whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then after that, they are trying to track down the Titans in like some type of pocket dimension. And this is when I was very shocked. Bruno, who's very scientific, and Tim, who's just Tim, couldn't figure out how to get the Titans out, and Bruno, oh not Bruno, I keep calling Bruno, Bernard kept getting pissed. And so while Tim was listening to this one guy talking about sunspots or whatever in the sky that could help some kind of spiritual thing, Bernard's all like, this is dumb, only science can help save them, and we need to find a way, but oh, I can't charge my device because we don't have a battery source that's strong enough, so I'm gonna have to go someplace else and do it. And so Tim's all like, I don't want to go, I want to stay here and wait for hopefully they come. Well, he's like, all right, fine, I'll leave you here. And the dude's like, well, how am I supposed to get back home? He's all like, you can walk and everything. I was shocked by that dialogue in his like complete 180 shift to be rude and nasty to Tim. And it's like, if somebody would have told me that, oh, I would have never talked to that person again. But of course, this is TV, and those two kindle and make up afterwards, and everything's supposed to be all gravy. And it's like, no, this dude got disrespected and he got deserted. Like, how can you go back to somebody like that? Why? Because he's nice and everything? And, you know, I don't get that. Like, I just really don't get that. And then of course eventually the Titans do find out that Tim is gay because he originally tells them, and they're like, oh, that's so cool, we don't care. And it's like, that's kind of how it is in a lot of modern day stuff. Everybody is okay with it on screen. Now, I'm okay with that, and sometimes I'm not. I'm okay with the majority of them liking it, but there has to be at least one person I feel who should be dismayed about that, who should not like it, because that's how it is in real life. Then you can add more character development to that LGBT character and that other person who's anti-LGBT, and then they could hash it all out, and that person can later accept them and everything. That is good character development. But now in modern day television, it's just like, oh, we don't care. Oh, it's cool, whatever, we don't care. I'm happy for you and everything. And I get why they do that in modern television, because they're trying to teach the audience to be okay with it, which is totally fine. But then there are those people who don't like it, and they're all like, well, this is just written in modern day television for everybody to like everything. So what you do is you trick them, and then you have a character who doesn't like LGBT people, and like I said before, they bond on that, and then they hash everything out, and then they later become friends and accepting and everything. And that would have gave him a bit more character development. But no, they just stuck him in a cliche romance storyline for the entirety of the season. And the thing is, Greg Walker is also an executive producer, and he was the showrunner for season 4. So Greg and Jeff didn't really have much to do with season 4. Yeah, they gave like notes here and there, but it was all on Greg Walker. And so like, he let them down too. But in my opinion, even though he is the showrunner, Greg and Jeff should take more responsibility because they are the one who created this show. And Jeff, who is not Jeff, but Greg, who is like, you know, an openly gay man, you think he would have written in or had in there better like representation for his people and stuff. But instead, the main gay character they have on the show is just this awkward dude who kind of stumbles with his crush and everything. And that's what it is. It's like one of those stumbly, awkward relationships. They're in that early stage of relationships. And it's so annoying to see, because you see that more with LGBT characters than you will a straight character. Most of the time, like say Kung Fu, the other show Greg created, the main character Nikki met this guy, you know, like they bonded instantly and they worked together. But when they worked together, you clearly saw that they was comfortable around each other and liked each other. There was no awkwardness whatsoever. But then it's always awkward when it's a gay character, because the guy who plays her brother, Ryan, he was in a relationship with a man. And it was in the earlier stages. He's been dating that dude secretly for the longest time. And it was awkward. It was one of those awkward gay relationships. And I don't know why they always write that for LGBT characters. Like, why are they always in the awkward relationship where they're like, you know, shy and nervous around a person they clearly like and been dating for a while? Then on top of that, you always see the closeted gay person on the show. Yeah, there are closeted gay people in real life, but there are also people who are open and out. But every time you see them on television, they're always closeted and they're too afraid to tell their friends and family. Then the moment they do, their friends and family are totally okay with it. And the only time you ever see an openly out like gay person on television, they're like the sassy, rude gay dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so like, I don't understand like why it's always written like that. And it's always with LGBT and people of color. Like Brienne Wu, I think her name is, she was on Scream, the television series, and they met, and she's Asian, and her boyfriend was white on the show. And the only thing she did was play like his girlfriend on the show just for her to get killed. Then in the next season, he had a black girlfriend. She was only there to be the girlfriend and get killed. And they always do this when it comes to people of color, and they always do this when it comes to LGBT. So I feel, because Tim was one of the most boring characters next to, of course, Beast Boy again. But it's like, he wasn't boring or lackluster because he was gay. It's just the creators of the show literally let him down. They had too many characters in the season. They always try to focus it on the other characters, and they had absolutely nothing for him. So then they're probably like, I'm getting nothing for him. Let's put him in a relationship. It'll be fine. Like, why not? And that's not really character development. Being in a relationship is not a character trait characters should have. It should be like a side character trait and stuff like that. Once again, we didn't, like, he used to be a smart person. We didn't see none of his intelligence really in this entirety of the season. He was still a go-getter, but he was more of a go-getter in season 3 than he was in season 4. Now it just seems like he's just the person tagging along and wanting to be a hero and stuff, as opposed to actually wanting to be a hero and then tagging along with the characters like he was in season 3. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.